Hello, everybody. Grand Rising. Welcome to the People's Congregation of Shakers and Movers YouTube channel. We are here today with Matt Thomson from Rise Up Breathwork. We come together here at the chapel every Tuesday at 11 to simply take a pause and talk about this amazing modality called breathwork. I was one of those people that had a hard time sitting and meditating, and I find breathwork gives me something to focus on so that I can actually work on calming my central nervous system. So I thank you, Matt, for teaching us this beautiful modality that is essentially free because your breath is with you 24 hours a day. In fact, if you stopped breathing, you would not exist, right? So we have to learn how to sort of use this as a way to control or kind of, soften some of the energetic blows as we flow through the day is kind of how I like to look at it sometimes. I did want to remind everybody to check out our programming for the Friday night integrated recovery practices group. It's been really amazing having our community members show up with their passions and with their purpose and really, kind of helping to open our minds to other ways of healing that might involve drumming, art creation, magic divination tool making, herbal remedies, and how the magical plant kingdom can really help us connect with Mother Earth and one another. We have been very blessed to have a lot of members kind of just popping up and saying, hey, I really am passionate about this and want to share it. This week we have Vivek coming with her crystal singing bowls, very much like Matt's singing bowls. And we are going to set up on the third floor, and we're going to have a frank talk about what the word sacrament means to us. In the space that we work in, this word comes up a lot, and we're finding that there's a lot of stigma around it. So like everything else that we do here, we're aiming to sort of have frank conversations, honest conversations about sort of where we're at in this spiritual, journey in this kind of not so spiritual world that we're up against and living in right now. So we come together this week for a little bit of healing and some conversation. And then on Saturday we have DJ Glowworm coming. You can find her at many clubs in Boston, such as Capo. She's always throwing down some amazing drum and bass, and we look forward to that female DJ energy at the chapel this Saturday at high noon. So again, thank you all for our members for supporting this content and programming, these free classes that we are offering as our service to the community. So Matt, once again, thank you for always showing up and being here and helping us be the best version of our human monster self that we possibly can be. Monster, human does actually translate to little monster. I didn't realize that was the definition of the word human. And once I figured that out, I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense in regards to sort of what humans are doing to one another and to Mother Earth on a regular basis.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm going to own it. I can be a monster too sometimes. And that's why we're here exploring these ways to sort of be a little bit more compassionate and empathetic and human, more for humanity, right? And like pro-humanity activities instead of kind of anti, So thank you for helping me show up to be a better human.
Yeah, I think that also defines most of my life as well too. So, and today, so just invite everyone just to close your eyes for a moment and just tap into your breath and just track it. Just feel how the breath enters your body, and just invite you to bring your awareness, your attention, your thinking to how the body breathes and how it enters, how it flows, trying to guide the air into the stomach gently. If anyone's new out there, breathing into our chest is only 25% of lung capacity, and it keeps our bodies in a mild form of hyperventilation, which really does not serve us when triggered. Breathing into the stomach is more calming, more relaxing, utilizing 100% of the lung capacity and allowing for the breath in the air to help fuel the body to oxygenate fully. And when we can just bring our awareness and our thoughts to how the breath travels, it can help drop us into right now. And so for a moment, I'm just going to invite you to just take a deep breath in through your nose, pull it all the way up to the top of your head. Hold until you're slightly uncomfortable, and then just let it out through the mouth. And then just drop into the sensations that are arising in your body. So can we tap in to just feeling what the body's communicating? No thinking is necessary here, no thought process. Seeing if you can just discover how you feel. Maybe some areas feel good, maybe some areas feel tight. Maybe the body's even asking for you to shift and to move a little bit. And so I was going to add something in. So what was coming to me this week is gentleness and becoming gentle with ourselves. I think we spend so much time self-sabotaging, maybe negative self-talk about self or others or situations. And we're trying to pull all this in and maybe be more from the heart, more from a loving space, a caring, compassionate space. And so as we raise that awareness to trying to lead life through here, and we catch ourselves doing things that are not in alignment with that, my invitation is to bring in that word gentleness for this week and for today as we focus on breathing. And being kind to self and and maybe just having that realization that part of the process is that awareness where we kind of dip into old patterns and new patterns. And eventually those patterns will switch. And to go along with this bringing awareness today to being gentle to self, I'm going to start pulling a card as well. And so, and today what I pulled was actually perfect. I'll just bring it up to the camera so that you can see it. I'm just trying to fix that. Okay, so if you take a look at the card here, it's of this woman sitting in a tree with her dog. You can also notice like the flowers around her. You can also notice just behind her there is a deer sitting. And so this card represents a couple different things I thought were important for bringing in alignment of being gentle to ourselves. One is family, and the importance of family is something that arises with the Ten of Pentacles. And if we're being kind and gentle to self and in alignment with self, then we may be more in attunement with our children, maybe more in attunement with our partner. And in that feeling of safety. And if you look at the deer, how it's sitting there, actually that's a wolf that she's sitting with. And so the deer is looking super relaxed, super calm, knowing that it's in a place of safety. There's no threats here. They're comfortable. And that's kind of what this represents. And I feel like that this ties in really well with being gentle with ourselves. Because we're trying to create like a foundation for our future. And when we can dig into the breath and allowing for the breath to kind of help relax our system, to calm it down, like Sandy was saying, to kind of switch that trigger or negativity, a thought process that's not in alignment or that's creating that spinning wheel of anxiety and anxiousness, or maybe some craziness or crazies. Or you can look at it as like the mind is like those preschool children that are just yelling for attention. And so sometimes if we just breathe in through the nose, into the stomach, out through the mouth, and just allow yourself for a moment just to bring into your mind maybe one way that you were not gentle with yourself in the last day or two or a week. And when that arises within you, I'm going to invite you just to acknowledge it and be like, okay, I was not gentle. I was maybe a little rough on myself here. Acknowledge it. And then what I'm going to invite is that you breathe, bring your attention from that acknowledgement to the breath and tracking the breath into the body. And then maybe just discovering what part of the body is activated here. Did it make the heart rate increase? Did it bring a certain heaviness to a part of the body? Or closing up or clamping? Sometimes we can feel our eyes clench or jaws clench, or maybe the throat closes up a little bit. And then what I'm going to invite is on the inhale is to breathe into whatever the discomfort is. And on your exhale to push that discomfort out of the body or push it through the body. And just breathe in 5 or 6 times, like just pushing that energy, or just even trying to find it. So if you need to bring up the thought again, that's fine. And maybe, just invite you to bring up another scenario of maybe how, we are not gentle with ourselves. And then to breathe into that again, acknowledge it. Don't let the brain take over here. Just acknowledge it, say hello to it. Know that it's a part of you, maybe a part of you that we wish to change. And then find the discomfort within. Breathe into that discomfort. And then just pushing that discomfort. Like, think of the discomfort as almost like a knot. And when we exhale, we can really just almost blow that knot apart and just really open it up, unravel the knot, and shift that energy. We're going to do this for another minute. And then when you're done, I'm just going to invite that you breathe a nice deep breath in through the nose, hold, and then really maybe just a more assertive out breath and just really push everything out of the body. And then just drop into relaxation, dropping the shoulders, relaxing your tongue, your eyes, your cheeks, maybe feeling into that heart space. And then just dropping fully into this moment right now. And just breathing in any way that's normal for you. And so, yeah. And were you guys, you can just nod your head yes. I have a few people here. You don't have to verbally answer. If you feel like verbally answering, that's fine. But just out of curiosity, was everyone able to discover like a way that maybe we're not very gentle with ourselves? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sandy, were you able to discover something?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Beautiful. And so, and I didn't really want to dig into like that energy too much, and so sometimes like what Sandy was saying in the beginning, like we're like on this pathway here of awareness and transformation, where we're trying to become more aware of maybe how we are with ourselves first, which is most important, because once we can transform and start changing that, then that's going to naturally affect how we are with other people. And so part of this process is becoming that witness or observer of your thoughts. So if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you're familiar with this terminology. And becoming a witness or a observer of your thoughts is exactly what we just did. We were bringing up like a thought process and then acknowledging it. So normally when a thought comes up, like let's just say someone cut you off in traffic that I say all the time, like how long does that affect you? Like is it 5 minutes? Is it 10 minutes? Is it 2 hours later you're swearing at the guy again? And so, how long we hold on to stuff for, is that really necessary? But if we can become like an observer and acknowledge that and find where it activates us in the body, in the stomach, or lower intestines, or the heart, or the throat, in the mind, in the head. And then if we can release that and breathe into that discomfort and then push it out, that can shift us into a different energy. And so for a moment, a part of becoming gentle is, and this might be a hard one to explore a little bit, but safety. Like, what feels safe for you? Is there a way to discover what is safe in a healthy way? Maybe putting on some music can offer a sense of safety. Maybe doing this type of breath and becoming an observer can offer a feeling of safety and less anxiousness or anger or frustration or worry, whatever it is that arises within. Maybe going for a walk in the woods. Maybe just taking your shoes off and being barefoot. Maybe just holding yourself for a second. And so I'm going to invite you here to just breathe in through the nose, into the stomach. And I'm just going to invite in one more little thing here. So when you breathe in through the nose, it's going to be like almost like 2 breaths, but it's kind of 1, but you can make it 2 if you need to. And so just to lightly breathe into the stomach and then just pull up into the chest and maybe pull your shoulders back and just open up that heart cavity and then just exhale. And just make it a nice comfortable breath. It doesn't have to be forced. It doesn't. Just try to feel into the energy of the breath. discover this for a moment here. Fall into this pattern lightly, softly. Be gentle with the breath. And as we're falling into this pattern, I'm just going to invite you to explore with your thoughts what may bring safety into your journey. And if you've never thought about this before, it's like I said in the beginning, what the Ten of Pentacles is about, or part of it is about building that foundation and creating like a foundation for the future, so that we have something that can help us really transform ourselves. So when something arises, I'm just going to invite you to bring 1 or 2 thoughts in about it, or 3, of how you may integrate it into your life. And then just to breathe into where you feel that. And here, when we feel into the feeling of safety, maybe it doesn't feel so closed off. Maybe it feels a little bit more open. And maybe just try to explore 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 ways of discovering how to feel safe for yourself in a healthy way. Because safety can take that other turn. But let's just focus on healthy ways of tuning into how we feel safe. Feeling safe can help ground us, make us feel like we are supporting ourselves. Maybe discovering that we can kind of stand on our own 2 feet a little bit taller, a little bit stronger, a little bit more firmly when we find this safety. We're not giving in or closing up. We're becoming bigger and taller, more expansive, more rooted in who we are or what we are creating. And I'm just going to invite you to nice deep breath in and let everything go. And maybe just feel into feeling safe, feeling that safety in your body, if you can find that. And once we have found a way to bring in safety, we can tie this into maybe when we're not gentle. So we discovered and found maybe some ways that we're not gentle with ourselves, maybe ways that we beat ourselves up or self-sabotage or try to destroy the beauty that's around us, or make a situation worse. Or just allow for the mind to take control and we just go into that insane craziness within the mind, that circular pattern that seems so hard to stop sometimes. And so what I'm going to invite in here is to breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth, and you can just do it any way you need to. If you want to just do the stomach or continue adding in the chest. And just breathe in like maybe how that safety feels for a moment here. How is that safety feeling? Is it calming down the sacral area? Is it calming down the solar plexus? Are you feeling more rooted and grounded, maybe a little bit stronger, standing in your own? Maybe the heart is a little more open. And to just feel that sense of safety and building this foundation of feeling safe and creating this for yourself. And now I'm just going to invite in what are ways that maybe we could be gentle to ourselves? Are there words that you can speak to yourself? Maybe change the language of how we speak to ourselves in situations. Maybe being gentle and just allowing ourselves to treat ourselves to something good that's maybe not good. Like maybe we just treat ourselves to a donut because I just feel like having that and I feel like I deserve that. And, and that's a way to be gentle, like just to, I went through this and I shifted through and I'm feeling really good and I feel like giving myself a little gift. And so sometimes if we do something like eating or drinking wise, it's maybe not the best for us and we know that. But it could be a part of being gentle and it just depends on how we view it. Just accept it and just be like, I'm just going to treat myself. Maybe being gentle and self-massage or get a massage. Maybe just being gentle and discovering how we can be kind to ourselves. So I just invite you now just to fall into that breath. Fall into the breath. Bring the breath back into the body. Track it through the body. Feel into and understand how the body breathes. And I just invite you to try your best to really allow for the breath to help discover how the body feels. And as we're tracking this, allowing for any thoughts to arise naturally, without any thought or force, of how we can be gentle. And then just breathe into it. Let it go. Don't hold on to the thought. Just recognize it. maybe just allowing for yourself to tap it back into the breath and just check in with how do you feel now. Have you discovered like ways of being more kind with your words? How we speak to ourselves is such a beautiful way to be gentle, being kind. You know, maybe in our journey, we've never really had someone be super kind to us with our words and thoughtfulness, caring, showing comfort through words. Maybe that's been somewhat absent or very absent. But we can discover this and offer this to ourselves. And when we start coming from this energy, say of just being really kind and thoughtful and gentle with our words, instead of beating ourselves up, when we can find that, that energy will also go out into the world around us and maybe bring in people who can be more beautiful with their words and caring, and maybe hold space for you for a minute and really be able to hold space for you and just hear and just be present with us. So hard to find sometimes, but when we can change that energy within us, it opens up that doorway to allowing people to find us in our pathway that can offer it. But a part of it is having the commitment to self to become gentle. And when we can start making this commitment and raising our awareness to it, then the doorways begin to open. This is where we begin to heal and change or transform, and maybe even bring in more beautiful people into our lives as the others may fade away. So I'm just going to invite you here just to tap into how are you feeling now. Breathing. Let's just breathe in and out through the nose for a moment, drawing the energy into the stomach. And I'm just going to invite you to try and just to have like an even inhaling with the exhale. Our goal is to try and breathe in for 5 and out for 5, but don't worry about counting. Just kind of breathe it into, we don't want to go into discomfort. But this is such a beautiful breath. It's kind of like how we should naturally breathe. But it's also a breath that helps balance out the nervous system when we can tap into this. So this is a breath when we're feeling dysregulated, or maybe we weren't kind to ourselves and all of a sudden I became aware of it. I was like, oh man, I become angry with myself. And that's okay. Be angry for 1 or 2 seconds, but then just breathe into it and become kind. And just by acknowledging and accepting, like, oh, because when we bring in that awareness, remember, that's part of the growth. This is building the foundation for this change. Allowing ourselves to make these mistakes. You know, so often we're not allowed to make mistakes or do the wrong thing. But we are. That's how we grow. It's part of the beauty of this journey, is having that awareness. And then what's even more beautiful is when we start to discover these tools. This gentleness to self is a tool to put in your tool bag and and to start bringing maybe into your life a little bit more and bringing that awareness to it. And that's my offering to you here today, is this discovery of how beautiful it may be to discover that gentleness, that feeling of safety and comfort, and how this may lead into family, and just sitting quietly like the woman with the wolf and the deer sitting on a tree, just looking super relaxed. And now just one more big deep breath in through the nose to a hold. And then just letting it go, returning to your normal breath. Maybe opening your heart a little bit more as you get ready to move on with your day. Maybe listening to the body and seeing if it needs to move, or how does your body need to breathe for a moment. As you gently kind of bring yourself back into your space, and bring yourself back into awareness of where you are. And maybe just sitting with this for a moment. I know that in my journey I was never gentle with myself. And it was a lot of work to start tuning into this and just being kind to myself. And for me, I was able to, this helped open up that doorway of just being a little bit more kind and gentle with others around me as well too. Is it still working? Okay. And so, yeah, how was that for you, Miss Sandy?
Oh, I'm cracking.
I know you kind of came in a little bit on fire today.
I'm a quiet riot today. Yeah, no, that resonated a lot with me. I think in the space that we're getting into and working within, having a strong foundation is paramount. And I think it's actually required me to, take a little bit of a step back and do a little bit more research into other organizations that, frankly, have been doing this work a lot longer than us and who have created sort of like sets of accountability, I guess you would call it, like checklists, essentially. Like, am I, checking off all of these boxes as I show up here to hold space for others? Am I taking into account all of the correct safety protocols? Do I have a system of checks and balances in place to make sure that what I think is, correct? Because certainly what is right for me is not right for everybody. And, this is really where I have been lucky and very blessed to be able to work with nurse practitioners and RNs who are within the traditional healthcare system, and to sort of guide me into controlling myself a little bit in what I project in terms of what my experiences have been within the traditional healthcare system, and realizing that might not be what everybody's experience actually is. And, also to be kinder and gentler with myself has been a big theme of 2023, I think, especially as a mom. And understanding that every day, we have to hold space for our children first. Our family comes first. As we balance this building a business or, continuing to grow businesses that are existing, I have had to take a pause some days, and I've had to put my work on the back burner, and I've had to put my, clients on the back burner, because family is the pillar of the foundation of my spiritual life. So again, being able to realize and have to decide each day where we're paying our attention, right? Like, attention is a currency of sorts. And so, realizing that as long as, like you said, I can show up for my home and my family and my domestic affairs, that has to kind of take priority for me right now over even my passions and my purpose within my organization. So it's been a really big theme, of just constantly finding in that balance between my self needs, my, care of my family and my, actual, like, very, very real and urgent obligations, which is everybody else's needs sometimes, and then realizing that my businesses and my community actually has to come actually third, and so I think I had a imbalance because when you're an entrepreneur and you are trying to get your businesses off the ground, especially, you're in kind of a, what is that expression? Like learning by fire. Like sometimes it feels like everything is on fire and you have to drop what you're doing, to tend to your customers or tend to the needs of the business. And so again, I feel very blessed that I'm kind of out of that infancy period, and where I can actually step back and reevaluate a lot of my systems and processes. And again, that foundation is what is so important for growth. So whether that is within your own spiritual practice or even the capital, the conscious capitalism, I like to call it, that I'm trying to create, and just being fair to everybody in my life. And so I think that this is all a really important thing to think about, and to be fearless. In order to be a fearless leader, it constantly involves self-criticism and critiquing, not in a negative way, but in more of a, how can I grow and learn from what may have been a negative experience within something that occurs. So I do really appreciate this, this theme today, because it's definitely really pertinent.
I think when we take like a positive look, like when I was a teacher, the principal got really thrown off by me because I was like, yeah, let's do my observation this week. And he's like, well, give me that lesson plan. I'm like, I can't, because I'm coming back from like the New York State Phys Ed conference. And I always winged it that week because I had so much new material. I was trying to figure out how to teach it, if it actually works, or do I need to change it? And so what I was asking him to do was to help me grow these new activities and games and to bring more awareness into me of maybe what's working, maybe what part of it's not working. And later he was just like, oh my God. He's like, for years after that, he just always loved coming in for that observation where I didn't have the lesson plan, and where he was really a part of that, like, self-assessment of like, okay, this is working, and maybe this piece isn't, and me being able to take in that information in a lovingly caring way, and just knowing that I asked for this first of all, but he's really just helping me, giving me that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of being gentle with myself, and taking that criticism.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have, like, and this is just an invitation to our other two guests that are here. This is just an invite. You don't have, you do whatever you're comfortable with. But I just wanted to see if anything resonated, or if you wanted to share anything about this. I just wanted to open that up and give you that space. And if not, that's fine.
I think I need to. I don't know if it's so much critical on myself, but I know that I need to work on things like focus, because I'll come into a place babbling, rambling, not getting across what I wanted to say at all, because I'm not focused. And I know last time I talked about not listening,
Right.
And then sometimes, like, I think it's me not even speaking. It's just this constant, unfocused. And I mean, today's been good. I mean, this was great. I meditated this morning for a while, and then now, and I don't know, it's getting like, kind of like lightheaded from it. This feels good. But it's still hard to focus, and I need to work on that, I think. But also be less self-critical of it, Yeah.
Well, I think, and even a part of it might just be like having that awareness of it, that, oh, I'm trying to shift this in who I am. And so having that lovingly, be gentle with that awareness. Meaning, like, when you catch yourself, be like, oh, okay, this is, and this is sometimes what I also talk about, like, bring the breath in throughout the day. So, like when we change I always talk about how when we change our moments, take a breath or two. And so and this can also hold true maybe in this situation where you catch yourself like, I need to be a little bit more focused. I need to be a little bit more in tune with this person who I'm talking to. I need to be able, maybe I just need to be able to sit here and let this person talk and not have any thoughts to it. And when we catch ourselves doing something that we're trying to change, to actually take 1 or 2 breaths in the situation and just take 1 breath. Because breath work doesn't have to be a meditation. It's nice when it is, and it's nice when we have an hour or whatever, or 20 minutes. But to remember the gift of the breath can be so beautiful just for 5 seconds or 20 seconds. And that's a way of maybe even being gentle with yourself and being like, okay.
And I just thought of,
Yeah.
I think sometimes I want to get everything out in one breath without even breathing.
Yeah.
Like, just like, man, like mania, you know. But,
And that just arose for me too, that like sometimes when we become aware, we find out how much we actually hold our breath
yeah.
too.
Yeah, that's true. I like the thought that breath work doesn't always have to be a meditation, and it can be just more a tool,
Yeah,
you know, to tap
exactly.
into when you're literally like in fight or flight and
Yeah.
like not actually on a mat or not actually sitting, you know, in this intentional space to be able
Exactly.
to receive,
Yeah.
but more just like I need to slow my roll.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so that's why I think that this is really important work. And you know, again, I didn't even hear about breath work or really think about it at all until I was in my 40s after even taking yoga for 20 years just as a student. You know, like occasionally a teacher would bring in, you know, they talk about synchronizing the breath with the movement. Sure, that was something I was super aware of, but not really taking it off the mat. That was something that I was never really exposed to. So that's why this, for the last few years, I think you've probably seen a change in my energy and the way that I show up. I think I think it's, I mean, I definitely have like undiagnosed ADHD or whatever, you know, which I think is a huge blessing when you're balancing the number of things that I am, you know, in any given day. And I think that I've always embraced my ability to multitask, but I also think that that can be a disservice when you're trying to do too many things at once. So this has really helped me to keep that focus and to, you know, show myself more compassion and like you said, take that pause when necessary.
And I think, you know, we've both been kind of like on a little bit of a journey together for maybe 2 years or more at this point, and I think we both have like probably changed quite a bit. But I just wanted to double check with our other friend if you wanted to remain silent or if there's anything you wanted to express or share.
All good stuff and relatable.
Okay.
Yep. Very
Beautiful.
good.
Thank you.
Yes, we have a guest all the way from the state of Maine. Nick Dude, you probably heard of him if you follow my Instagram. But yeah, so anyway, I think that this has been an amazing show and certainly very timely for me. And I am so excited to go out and enjoy this beautiful October day. I can't even believe that we've shifted into fall and that this is a season for routine, because God knows that I needed a little bit of structure back in my life, and I'm actually quite grateful for it. So I'm going to go out and enjoy some time with my children this afternoon, and I hope you all get to do the same. Have a great day, everybody. PCSAM.org. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter to find out about all of our amazing activities.